You know, there's a saying that goes, you don't stop laughing because you grow old. You grow old because you stop laughing. But let's be honest, as much as a good chuckle keeps us young, what we put on our plates plays just as big a role in how we feel every day. Have you ever woken up and thought, where did my energy go? Or maybe you've noticed that some foods just don't sit as well as they used to. It's not just your imagination. Our bodies change after 60, and what worked for us in our 40s or 50s might not be the best fit now. But here's the good news. Small tweaks to what we eat can make a world of difference in how vibrant, energetic, and healthy we feel. That's why today, we're talking about the longevity diet. 6 simple, everyday foods that can help you feel stronger, sharper, and more energized as you embrace this wonderful chapter of life. These aren't fancy superfoods you've never heard of or expensive supplements. No, these are humble, delicious foods you might already have in your kitchen, or can easily pick up on your next grocery run. Now, let's start with the first one. And I bet you've heard this one before, but maybe not for the reasons you think. 1. Leafy greens, the ultimate HD-fiers. If there was one food group I'd call nature's multivitamin, it would be leafy greens. Spinach, kale, Swiss chard, these aren't just salad fillers. They're packed with vitamins like K, which keeps your bones strong, something we all want as we get older, and folate, which supports brain health. But here's something you might not know. Leafy greens are also rich in nitrates, which help improve blood flow. That means more oxygen to your muscles and brain, so you feel less sluggish during the day. Now I get it. Eating a big bowl of greens every day might not sound exciting, but here's the trick. Sneak them into meals you already love. Toss a handful of spinach into your morning omelet. Blend kale into a fruit smoothie. You won't even taste it. Or try sautéing Swiss chard with garlic and olive oil. It's delicious alongside grilled chicken or fish. Small additions add up to big benefits over time. 2. Berries, tiny but mighty. Next up, let's talk about something sweeter berries. Blueberries, strawberries, raspberries. They're like little bursts of joy, aren't they? But beyond their flavor, they're packed with antioxidants, which help fight off the wear and tear our cells go through as we age. What's really special about berries is how they support brain health. Studies show that older adults who eat berries regularly tend to have sharper memories and even slower cognitive decline. That's something worth nibbling on, don't you think? And here's a tip. Frozen berries are just as nutritious as fresh, sometimes even more so, because they're frozen at peak ripeness. So if fresh berries aren't in season or are too pricey, grab a bag from the freezer aisle. Sprinkle them on oatmeal, blend them into yogurt, or just enjoy a handful as a sweet, guilt-free snack. Now, before we move on to the next food, I want to pause here for a second, because I know that changing eating habits can feel overwhelming, especially if you've been doing things a certain way for decades. But here's the thing. You don't have to overhaul your diet overnight. Start with one of these foods this week. Maybe add a handful of spinach to your eggs, or swap your usual afternoon cookie for a bowl of berries. Small steps lead to big changes. And speaking of small steps, let's talk about our third longevity food, one that's been a staple in the healthiest cultures around the world for centuries. You know, when I think about the healthiest people I've met, the ones who are still gardening, traveling, or playing with their grandkids well into their 80s and 90s, there's one thing they almost always have in common. Their diets are simple, but smart. They're not counting calories or stressing over every bite. Instead, they've built little habits around foods that keep them feeling their best without making meals feel like a chore. That's exactly what we're doing here, making it simple. So let's pick up where we left off and dive into the next 2 foods that belong on your plate for a longer, healthier life. 3. Fatty fish, the brain's best friend. If there's one food that's earned its reputation as a longevity superstar, it's fatty fish. Salmon, mackerel, sardines, even trout. Now, I know some folks aren't big fish eaters, but hear me out. These fish are rich in omega-3 fatty acids, which are like little bodyguards for your heart and brain. They help lower inflammation, which is linked to just about every age-related issue, keep your arteries flexible, and even support mood and memory. And here's something fascinating. Studies of older adults in places where fish is a staple, like Japan's Okinawa, one of the world's blue zones, where people live the longest, show they have lower rates of heart disease and sharper minds well into old age. Now, if the idea of cooking fish feels intimidating, start small. Canned salmon or sardines are just as nutritious and incredibly easy to use. Mix them into salads, mash them onto whole grain toast, or add them to pasta dishes. Aim for 2 servings a week, and your heart and taste buds will thank you. 4. Nuts and seeds, the perfect crunch for longevity. Next up, let's talk about nuts and seeds: almonds, walnuts, flax seeds, chia seeds, even pumpkin seeds. These little powerhouses are packed with healthy fats, fiber, and minerals like magnesium, which helps with everything from sleep to muscle cramps. What makes them so special for folks over 60? For one, they're easy. No cooking required. Just grab a handful as a snack, sprinkle them on yogurt, or blend them into smoothies. But more importantly, they're proven to help with weight management, something that gets trickier as our metabolism slows, and they keep blood sugar steady, key for avoiding energy crashes. Walnuts, in particular, are worth calling out. They're one of the best plant sources of omega-3s, and studies suggest they might even help improve memory. Try keeping a small jar of mixed nuts by your favorite chair for an afternoon pick-me-up, instead of reaching for chips or sweets. Now, I can already hear someone thinking, but aren't nuts high in calories? They are energy-dense, yes, but that's actually a good thing as we age, when appetite sometimes fades. A small handful, about an ounce, gives you a ton of nutrition without filling you up too much. The key is mindful snacking, not mindlessly munching from a giant bag while watching TV. Before we move on to the final 2 foods, I want to remind you, this isn't about perfection. Maybe fish isn't your favorite, or you've never been a nut person. That's okay. The goal is to gradually add more of these foods into your routine in ways that work for you. Maybe this week, you try adding flaxseed to your morning cereal, or swap your usual meatloaf for a salmon patty. Tiny changes stick better than big overhauls. And speaking of sticking with it, let's talk about the next food. One that's probably already in your pantry, but might not be getting the attention it deserves. Isn't it wonderful how some of the most powerful foods for longevity aren't exotic or hard to find? They're the simple, humble ingredients that have nourished generations, the ones our grandparents might have called good, honest food. And that brings us to the last 2 foods on our list, both of which prove that eating for a longer, healthier life doesn't have to be complicated. 5. Beans and lentils, the unsung heroes. Let's talk about beans, black beans, chickpeas, lentils, even good old-fashioned pintos. If there's one food that deserves more credit, it's these little gems. They're packed with plant-based protein, fiber, which keeps digestion smooth and cholesterol in check, and minerals like potassium and iron. But here's what really makes them special for folks over 60. They're slow-burning fuel. Unlike refined carbs that spike blood sugar and leave you crashing, beans provide steady energy that lasts for hours. That means no more 3 p.m. slumps or feeling like you need a nap after lunch. Plus, they're incredibly versatile. Toss them into soups, mash them into spreads, or stir them into rice dishes. Even just a half cup a day can make a difference. And if you've avoided beans because, well, digestive concerns, here's a tip. Start small. Rinse canned beans well. It washes away some of the gassy compounds. Or try lentils. They're usually gentler on the stomach. Your gut will adapt over time. 6. Olive oil, liquid gold. Last but certainly not least, let's talk about olive oil. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Isn't oil just fat? But this isn't just any fat. It's the cornerstone of the Mediterranean diet, which is linked to longer lifespans, sharper minds, and healthier hearts. Extra virgin olive oil is rich in antioxidants and anti-inflammatory compounds. It helps your body absorb nutrients from other foods, like those leafy greens we talked about. Keeps your arteries flexible, and may even support brain health. The key is using it in place of less healthy fats like butter or margarine. Drizzle it on salads, use it to saute vegetables, or even dip whole grain bread in it, with a little garlic for a simple, satisfying snack. Just 1 to 2 tablespoons a day is all you need to reap the benefits. Now, before we wrap up, let's take a quick step back. If you're looking at this list thinking, How am I supposed to eat all these every day? Don't worry. This isn't about rigid rules or measuring every bite. It's about patterns. Maybe one day you have salmon with a side of spinach, and the next it's lentil soup with a sprinkle of walnuts. Over time, these foods naturally crowd out the less nutritious options, without any guilt or deprivation. And here's the most important thing. Every small choice adds up. Maybe today you swap your usual cooking oil for olive oil, or add a handful of berries to your breakfast. A month from now, those little changes could have you feeling more energetic, sleeping better, or even noticing your clothes fit a bit looser. So as we close, I'll leave you with this. Getting older isn't about counting years. It's about making those years count. And what you eat is one of the simplest, most powerful ways to do that. Your body has carried you through decades of laughter, love, and adventures. Now it's your turn to nourish it well for all the ones still to come. If you found this helpful, I'd love to hear from you in the comments. What's one food from this list you'll try adding this week? And if you enjoyed this, don't forget to like and subscribe for more simple, science-backed tips to thrive at any age. Here's to your health, your joy, and many more delicious meals ahead.